Ciao Fabri, welcome back in our
Ciao guys.
podcast. January is almost here, so it's time for some big news. And today there was a big news that you revealed, so if you want to start with that.
Yeah, big news for a big player, a big name, and it's Thiago Silva, the Brazilian defender, because he left Fluminense after returning to his boyhood club there in Brazil. He did very well as well in the Club World Cup in the summer, but Thiago wanted to go back to Europe with one dream in his mind, to be part of the Seleção squad for the World Cup 2026. He knows it's not going to be easy, but he wants to try, and also to get closer to his family currently based in Europe, in London. And so Thiago Silva will play for Porto in Portugal. It's a return for Thiago Silva because he played for the second team of Porto when he was very, very young, 18 years old, and now ready for a new chapter there. Contract until the end of the season with an option to extend, and good luck to Thiago Silva, who was wanted by several clubs around Europe, but decided to go to Porto after the call of the president, André Villas-Boas, and so the deal is done and signed.
Talking about Brazilians, do you expect the next one to be another Brazilian? Here we go.
Yes, and it's going to be Endrick, because Endrick will be an Olympic Lyon player in the next days, a story that our friends here on Men in Blazers know very well. I've been telling you about this for a long time, but now the agreement is almost there. So final details will be sorted, I think, next week, and so I expect next week to be, here we go, Endrick to Olympic Lyon, unless something crazy happens. This deal is verbally agreed. Endrick had a video call also with the coach Paulo Fonseca. They both speak Portuguese, so preparing the future at Olympic Lyon. I think from the 1st of January, Endrick will be ready for this move, and so it's going to be a very interesting one, on loan without any option to buy. So Endrick will be back to Real Madrid for the start of season 26-27.
Crucial days, crucial weeks also for the future Semenyo, a player that we are talking here a lot of times. And so who wants him and what's the situation?
Yeah, for Semenyo it's a special situation because there is a release clause, as we know, £65 million, and the release clause is valid until the 10th of January, so it's not going to be that long. And so any moment in the upcoming days, this could be crucial to see what happens. But it's a special situation because it depends on the player. So the clubs are informed that they have to pay the value of the release clause to Bournemouth if they want Semenyo, and so the negotiation is taking place on player side, not on club side at this stage. Liverpool called in November, but at the moment still no official bid from Liverpool to the player or to Bournemouth, so just a call made by Liverpool. The deal with Tottenham at the moment is not advancing, despite reports in the recent days. I'm told that this week, between Monday and Tuesday, both Manchester United and Manchester City called for Semenyo. So both clubs are involved. Manchester United would consider even a different tactical approach in case they can get Antoine Semenyo, who was already a target for Ruben Amorim last summer. Manchester City are looking for a winger in 2026, and Semenyo is one of the players they appreciate. So let's see what happens there, but I think Semenyo will be one of the big names for this January window.
Talking about Manchester United, you already mentioned it. What about the future of Kobbie Mainoo, a player that we know was also in talks to leave the club in the summer?
Yeah, I think there is a possibility for Kobbie Mainoo to leave Manchester United in January. At the moment, this completely depends on the club. Depends on Ruben Amorim and depends on the management. So it's Man United who have to decide what they want to do with Mainoo. The player wants to play more, and so he wants to go on loan. That's the desire of Kobbie Mainoo, was already the desire in the final days of August, and it's still the desire for the January window, because Mainoo believes it's an opportunity for him to go and play, develop, be a better player, and eventually return to Man United in the summer as a better player, go to the World Cup, maybe. He started 0 Premier League games so far. So it's a complicated situation for Mainoo. He would love to go, but this depends on the club. At the moment, from what I'm told, there are more than 10 clubs around Europe prepared to go for Kobbie Mainoo on loan. The favorite one, according to my information, is Napoli. Napoli want Mainoo, Napoli want to go for it after McTominay, after Rasmus Højlund. They really want also Kobbie Mainoo. Let's see what Man United will decide to do, but watch out for Kobbie because I think he's going to be one of the names to follow in the January window.
Talking about another Manchester United player, Joshua Zirkzee, and also with a lot of Serie A links, what do you think will happen in January for both Mainoo and Joshua Zirkzee?
Yeah, for Mainoo I think there is this possibility to go, and for Joshua Zirkzee as well, because for Zirkzee in this case depends again on what Manchester United want to do. Also in this case the player wants to play more. Joshua Zirkzee is a part of the Dutch national team for the coach Ronald Koeman, but the World Cup is coming and Zirkzee wants to play more. Then on one side we have Man United with players going to the AFCON, Mbeumo, Amad Diallo, Benjamin Sesko is back from injury, but that injury was opening eyes to Manchester United for something like Okay, maybe we have a short squad in January. On the other side, there is Joshua Zirkzee who wants to play more. So let's see how they sort the situation. What I can tell you is that in the last 7 days, Roma, with their director, Mo Salah, traveled to London to have direct meetings with people close to Joshua Zirkzee. So Roma are working on this deal for Zirkzee. Let's see what happens, because again, this is completely same as Kobbie Mainoo on Manchester United.
Another one on Man United is about the future of Bruno Fernandes. It's always a big topic and attracts a lot of interest, especially after what happened in the last transfer windows.
Yeah, it's always a big topic, and it's always a topic because Bruno made this interview speaking in Portugal. The interview was made in November, but still very relevant because he said, I had this feeling that Manchester United were not desperate for me to stay at the club. They were quite prepared for me to go and leave the club when Al Hilal wanted him at the beginning of June. Then Bruno decided not to leave the club. So in that case, it was Bruno who said, no, I want to stay here, I want to fight for trophies. But let's see what happens in 2026. I'm told that this is not a story for January. So at the moment, the situation is very quiet for the January transfer window. I don't see Bruno making a move to Saudi in January. In the summer, we will see, because from Saudi, they tried it 3 years ago. They tried it 2 years ago. They tried last summer. And I think they will try again for Bruno Fernandes. So he's a Saudi target. They will be back at the table. It's going to be up to Bruno. And for Manchester United, remember, there is a release clause. 60 million euros available for clubs out of the Premier League. And so that could be a point in order to understand the future of Bruno Fernandes.
Talking about Saudi targets, did something change regarding the future of Mo Salah in the last days?
No, but there will be a meeting. I think it's very interesting what Curtis Jones, the Liverpool midfielder, said in an interview with Sky Sports a few days ago, saying that Mo apologized to the squad and to his teammates after what happened with that explosive interview 2 weeks ago. Mo said sorry to all his teammates. That was a really important moment. At the same time, there is going to be more important moments because the agent of Mo Salah, Rami Abbas, will have direct meetings with Richard Hughes, Liverpool director, and with people in the management to understand how to proceed for the January transfer window. Liverpool position remains very clear. They want to continue with Salah. If Salah wants to go, bring proposals and let's see what happens. But at the moment, they don't have any bid on the table, so it's Salah who has to decide, and these conversations with Liverpool are going to be important.
Moving to Spain, there were some reports in Spain about Barcelona and Real Madrid interested in Kenan Yildiz. Do you have some sort of confirmation on this side or nothing?
At this stage, I don't have confirmation on Real Madrid and Barcelona actively working on a deal for Kenan Yildiz. Of course, all the top clubs in Europe appreciate the boy, but these reports in Spain, at the moment, I'm told there is nothing really concrete into it apart from appreciation. Again, Yildiz is one of the best talents in the world, but that's it. Juventus are trying to extend his contract. There is a conversation ongoing between Juventus and Kenan Yildiz camp, trying to improve his salary because the length of the contract is already okay, but it's more about the salary. And so there is going to be more round of talks with Juventus trying their best to extend the contract of Yildiz. In case he decides to leave at some point, I'm told that, of course, not for January, but eventually for the summer, or we will see for the future, I'm told that more than La Liga, from Premier League, they are prepared to attack for Kenan Yildiz, and so I keep my position on Premier League clubs interested in Kenan Yildiz.
Barcelona, that are always trying to bring new talents for the academy, they are also trying to sign a new one.
Yes, and he's an Egyptian guy. He's a striker who did very well at the Under-17 World Cup a few months ago, and he's a player that Barcelona has been monitoring and scouting there, and not only playing for Al Ahly. He's called Hamza. He's a striker, and Barcelona have activated talks on player side. My information is that Hamza would love to go to Barca. It's a dream for him to go to Barcelona, and so the player is quite open to the move. It would be similar to what Joao Amaral, the head of scouting at Barcelona, and Deco, the director, did for Rooney Bargdi in the summer transfer window. They signed him for a cheap deal, and now he's part of the first squad. In the case of Hamza, he would be a signing for Barca Athletic, so for the youths of Barcelona, but of course a player who has potential to get there in the first team in the future. So negotiations ongoing club to club, already okay eventually on player side, and so let's follow this one, but remember the name, Hamza for Barca.
Last one for today on Barcelona and the future of Ronald Araujo. What do you think is going to happen if there are updates, or what do you have to say on this?
Look, at the moment, to answer our friends who are asking us, what I can say is that Barcelona want to let Ronald Araujo take his time. So Araujo was in Jerusalem in the last few days, as we mentioned, in last week, to have some spiritual moments, to try to find himself again in the best shape possible. Barcelona accepted and respected that. So at the moment, when I see reports on Araujo leaving, Araujo staying, Barca signing a new defender, Barca are taking care of the human side for Araujo. So letting the player disconnect, they wait for him back to training for the start of 2026 in the best way possible. So Barca still trust Araujo, Barca want Araujo to take his time, and then they hope to welcome him at the best level possible as soon as possible.
Thank you, Fabri, for that. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Ciao, guys.